Clearly not the night we wanted in any way, shape, or form. It hurts. It's painful. It's frustrating. A lot of work to be done. Really, really not happy with the result. And it started with, the way we did things. And I told the team in the locker room, post game, it's my fault pointing the finger at me. Obviously, I didn't have them prepared, and we got to find ways to be better. Clearly, we had no answer for the triple option in Navy's offense. Very, very disappointed in overall execution. It's been a long time since I've seen that lack of execution on one side of the ball in a long time, and I've got to get it fixed. And the quarterback crushed us. We gave up explosive plays, and again, like I said, we got to go back and figure out. I wish we had a chance to find answers and find a way, but versus that type of team, you've got to find a way to get stops, and we didn't. Look, the fight of this team is there, and that's evident, but that's not good enough. You got to find ways to win the football game at the end of it, and I told the team post-game, I said, if there's anything I know about you guys, we'll keep battling, right? One game cannot define our season, right? And there was no hangover from last week and none of that stuff. The guys had a great week of preparation and worked hard. We just didn't execute tonight at a high enough level in order to give us success for a win. And that's on me. And I'm going to put my head down and work like we always do. We're going to have those blinders on and find a way to improve and continue to work in the right direction. But not good enough tonight. And, and kudos to Navy. And again, it's appreciate all the service women and men, for serving us. I've got so much respect, and our team does, for the Naval Academy. These people are the ones that go out there and fight for our country, and so hats off to them. Look, I say this, I pull for them every day of the year except for today, and they got the better of us, and grateful for their service to our country. It's a fantastic Navy team, but I got to focus on the Memphis Tigers and find a way to get us better.
Ryan, everybody knows what Navy does on the ground. Did their ability to get chunk plays through the air impact like what you guys are trying to do defensively?
To an extent, Frank, this is obviously a different offense than we had seen in years past, right? It's not just the fullback dive, triple option, down the line. They have obviously a lot of shifts, some motions, the quarterback pass game with a variety of different things, and they hit a lot of different weapons and were very explosive. And we did a poor job of executing a way to stop it. And, it certainly adds a different dynamic to their offense. And, clearly we weren't ready for everything they showed. And credit to them, but we didn't do a good enough job at any point of that evening.
Late in the game, what was different offensively when you guys were making that rally that wasn't necessarily there, in the first half?
Yeah, I thought, we had 1 3-and-out where were self-inflicted wounds, right, where we had the false start, all right, and then another penalty, right? So, the times we stopped ourselves in the first half where I call self-inflicted wounds, obviously then we dropped the kickoff. We had our third-string kickoff returner back there and did a poor job. We can't do that. We can't put anytime the ball's on the 5-yard line. So the self-inflicted wounds in the first half, but I think we're still churning out some decent stuff, but we can't, versus a team obviously that we couldn't stop. We couldn't have any failures on offense, and obviously we didn't. And clearly in the second half, being able to play with a little bit more tempo and open up, but we were still effectively running the football. But we were just too far behind to ever catch back up.
Offensively, when you take a look at Brandon Thomas, how good is it for him to have a 100-yard rushing game after so many games without him?
Yeah, Brian. Look, we've had that next man up mentality, as you guys know. We're pretty darn early in the season and taking on some injuries, especially that running back room. Brandon probably on the depth chart was probably listed at 4th, and then he goes out and does what he's capable of. And just, he's a young man. We've talked about his perseverance and finding a way. Obviously had a huge role in special teams in the early weeks. And, really, on Sunday I sat down with him and said, listen, you're going to have to go back to toting the rock like you're capable of and be the Brandon Thomas that, everybody knows from a few years ago. And for him, he took the bit and was excited to go out there and prove what he's capable of. Unfortunately, it was at a loss, and so Brandon would be the first to tell you he could do more as well.
Yeah, were you surprised defensively how you guys came out?
Look, we went 3-and-out first drive, and you play those triple option teams, and we always talk about the first drive of the game and the first drive of half, because that's when they kind of set their series of what they want to do. But yeah, look, I was clearly disappointed by the way we played, and and the fact that not being able to stop them in any way, shape. It wasn't like, hey, we just stopped the passing game and they ran down our throat. We were very, very poor in a lot of areas on defense. And like I said, it's not the players, it's not the defensive coaches, it's me. And I got to find a way moving forward. I don't know if we'll see this offense again. I certainly hope not. But we've got to find a way to learn to stop it, because clearly tonight we didn't have the right answers, and we probably should have had better preparation. When I say preparation, the guys work, they watch film, they poured into it and were 100% focused and dialed in on Navy, but clearly we didn't put them in the right situation to have success.
And speaking of the running back there, obviously Greg didn't play. Do you have an update on this situation?
I think Greg's probably out for a couple weeks, unfortunately. I look at one game at a time, but we'll reevaluate things in a couple weeks. I don't look past any of that stuff, but we had some other guys that we were expected to play that weren't able to play tonight, and that's the name of college football. And so we've got 120 guys in that locker room, Frank, that we trust that are going to step up. So it doesn't matter who it is. We've got to have them all prepared and ready.
And back to the offense in the first half, there were a couple plays where it looked like Seth and the receiver may not have been on the same page. Was that like just a couple communication issues?
Sure. Obviously Seth and those veteran receivers have had a remarkable chemistry. There were a couple things that looked maybe a little bit off here or there. They had shown some different looks. They took their outside linebacker, number 35, and I've got a history of 22 years going against Newberry, and they took number 35 and they actually pressed our outside receivers. I'm not sure if you saw that. And so I think what ended up happening was they played a cover 2 type deal where they took the outside backer, pressed the corner to the boundary, the wide receiver to the boundary, then played over the top. And I think with that's why people say, well, where were the rushing yards? Well, because they were lighter in the box. And I think that's where we were able to run the ball effectively. And probably could have done a better job preparing our guys early, obviously when they come to the sideline with the tablets now and getting that stuff corrected. And at some point, we had some wide receivers that we hadn't seen play much. We're getting some reps, but those communication issues I certainly expect us to clean up.
You can talk about Kobe Drake. It seemed like he was banged up a little bit during the game, but he still came back and persevered and had some great catches. Can you talk about his game tonight? Yeah,
look, Kobe Drake's the oldest player on our team. He's been third. He's the only guy that was here with us in 2019. So he's played a lot of football, and he's a guy that obviously is our punt returner. We had to throw him back there on kickoff returns, given the situation. He had never taken a kickoff return, not in the last couple months. And he stepped up and said, yeah, I'll do it. And I know I can catch the ball cleanly and do what's needed to do it there. Obviously had some key catches and all those things. But, again, Kobe would be the first one to tell you he didn't do enough to will us to win the football game. And that's what I appreciate about that young man.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here.